all relationships are a two-way street. So if your side of the road is, clean, paved, you're putting in the work to lay down those bricks day in and day out, and then your friend's side of the street has potholes in it, there are cracks in the road, that's a no, babes. Breaking news, quack, 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 quack. Oh, that video is so funny. You have to make room for the new relationships in your life because you don't know who you're going to meet out there in Kansas City or Chicago, or Columbus, Ohio, or wherever you're going to go. Hi, everyone. You're listening to Transplants, the podcast for 20-somethings moving to a new city and trying to navigate all the troubles that come with it. I'm your host, Joyce, and today we're going to be talking about outgrowing friendships because making a move to a new city is a great time in your life for you to take a step back and reevaluate the relationships in your life, see which ones are worth taking with you into this new chapter and which ones you want to leave behind because, hello, sister, brother, not everyone is meant to be in your life for the entirety of your life, okay? So today we're going to talk about that. Putting people in hierarchies, which is very ugly to say, but you got to do what you got to do, okay? But before we get into all the meat and potatoes of this episode, long time no see, long time no talk. I feel like I kind of dropped off the face of the earth in terms of this podcast because I launched with 2 episodes and then episode 3 is coming out, I don't know, 2 months later or something. But you know what? Life has been hard, okay? I was traveling and I had this episode pre-recorded and then I started editing it and I was like, this is actually trash. So now I'm re-recording it and re-uploading it because I want to give you guys the best quality, the best content that I can give you. But yeah, girl, I was traveling in September and then I experienced a family loss, which was really tough, had to travel back home, and then things at work were shifting. So it's been a tough couple of weeks, and now I'm like congested and like my throat hurts. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone or whatever, but your girl is struggling and I'm tired. You know what? I'm just tired, but it's okay because I love fall. Fall is my favorite season. I love the fall candles, the leaves changing colors. My apartment is so cute with all my decor and everything. But yeah, essentially, I am just chugging along, you guys. The struggle, it never ends. That sounds morbid, but you know what? There's highs and lows. I feel like I've just been through a little bit of a low, and now we're on the upwards trajectory. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. There's no wood around me. Painful. Okay, anyways. So let's talk about friendships, okay? We're definitely going to talk about friendships throughout the whole, I guess, duration of this podcast. There will be future episodes on friendships and how to make new friends in cities. Well, yeah, how to make new friends in new cities. How to deal with friendship breakups, yada, yada, yada. But today specifically, we're talking about outgrowing friendships because, like I said earlier, if you're about to make a big move in your life, this is a great time for you to take a step back and think about if you want to take Sally Sue with you when you move to Colorado Springs or whatever, hypothetically. First of all, just wanted to highlight the significance in friendships, especially when you're in your 20s. This time of just like a lot of change, a lot of self-discovery and things like that. I feel like having friends in your 20s is just such a pivotal, crucial part about that time period because you're all going through like similar things, similar struggles, and it's easy for you to lean on those people when you're in your times of need. Friendships can get you through the worst of times, and they'll also help you and celebrate you through the best of times. Just in general, as a human being, we all need community, and that shows up in different ways, whether that's family, friends, church people, whatever. But just in general, friendships hold a significant part or a significant chunk of our lives, especially in your 20s when you're going somewhere when you know absolutely no one. You're making friends, and these friends essentially become like your chosen family. And they're the people who will help you throughout the course of your move, the course of, however long they're in your life. But yeah, I know friendships are super, super important to a lot of people in this world. I know I'm one of those people. This is like bad on me, but it doesn't matter if I've known you for 2 days or for 2 years. Once I decide that you're my friend, I'm like, yep, let's go, ride or die. I will do anything for you, which is like, it can be good because, I love my people, whatever. But at the same time, it can hurt when that energy is not reciprocated, or, I give people too much too soon. It's a little bit of a balance, babes. I'm trying to not give people all of my energy and learning to put friends like in tiers or hierarchies, as ugly as that sounds. But like, at the end of the day, girl, not everyone is your bestie and you're not everyone's bestie. Okay. You got to be self-aware and understand that some people in your life may not be a friend. Maybe they're just an acquaintance or of a friend. Not everyone is like this. For those listening, I'm doing the fingers crossed expression. With all that being said, yes, it's so important and admirable for you to hold your friends near and dear to your heart. It's always a great quality to, be a good friend to others and be just a good person and a good presence in other people's lives. But at the same time, friendships end. Womp womp. Breaking news. Quonk 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 quonk. Oh, that video is so funny. But yeah, friendships end. They end in many different ways, but one way that they end, especially in your 20s or as you're about to enter your 20s, is outgrowing friendships. So in like your early 20s, this is a pivotal time where you may start to realize that you don't connect with people from high school in the same way, or like people from college. They were there for the fun times, the parties, the but as you become, a big boy, big girl, big person, you're realizing maybe I don't want to bring that same energy into this new phase of my life. So there's a lot of different ways, I guess, you can realize that you've outgrown a friendship, but some of them include, kind of like I said, you don't align on like the same values anymore. You're on two totally different playing fields. You don't really want to see them anymore. You don't want to hang out with them anymore. And when you do hang out with them, you realize that you don't like the person that you are when you're hanging out with them, which can be, irky. Don't like that. So those are just some of the thoughts and feelings that you'll start to think through as you realize that you're outgrowing a friendship. And that can be like a lonely and, draining, kind of depressing experience, especially for someone who, overthinks a lot like me. Like if there's like some scenario that happened where it might have been like something bad or whatever, or something crazy, I will like replay that situation every hour of the day, every probably minute, second of the day in my head, just thinking about what someone said, what I said, what could have gone differently, whatever. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna try to do less of that, okay? Because we're eradicating the unhealthy habits, okay. But yeah, once you're starting to realize those things about your friendships, relationships, or whatever, it can be sad because you're at the end of the day realizing that this person, this relationship, someone that you once loved, is turning into something that you no longer love, and is something that, could be draining or hurting you at the end of the day, which is really sad to think about, because this person, was probably a constant in your life, saw them frequently, saw them in class, saw them at work, whatever. And it can be hard to see someone and be used to someone and then do a 180 and then they're just like, sayonara, not in your life anymore. Which, that's at the end of the day, that's a lot of like your 20s and a lot of like growing up when you're like doing these transitions from like, high school to college, and then maybe you transferred colleges and then graduating college. Like, there are a lot of different milestones throughout your life where people will kind of drop off, drop like flies. That sounds very ugly. that's just me saying that people in life come and go. And this is a point in time where people may be going, which is scary. And it can be hard to let go of friendships at this time because, again, they were like a constant in your life. And especially if you're moving somewhere where you don't know anybody, you want to probably maintain a lot of your old relationships. But at the end of the day, that could hurt you because they may no longer be serving you. So it's really important for you to take some time to think about the people that you still want to carry with you, because you have to make room for the new relationships in your life, because you don't know who you're going to meet out there in Kansas City or Chicago, or Columbus, Ohio, or wherever you're going to go. You have to do some spring cleaning probably and make some room for new connections, because you don't know all the people who are going to love you yet, which is a very exciting thought that I personally like to keep in my head when I feel like I'm all alone and like all of my friends hate me, blah, 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 blah. There are 7 billion, probably 8 billion now people in this world. And you think no one's going to like you when you move. Girl, stand up. There will be at least one person wherever you're going that will connect with you, become a great friend, and they can connect you to their friends, and it can start this whole chain reaction. So I know it can be scary and it can feel very, very lonely, which is valid. I felt the same way, girly, but at the end of the day, I still am maintaining, long distance friendships, long distance besties. Shout out to you. You know who you are. And we'll definitely do an episode on maintaining long distance friendships in the future. But yeah, like I was saying, I still have, long distance friendships, but literally went through the same process of, not talking to people from college anymore. Not necessarily because I'm like, oh, I don't want these people in my life anymore, but just as a result of, graduating and life transitions. Sometimes when you outgrow a friendship, it's not necessarily you even sitting down to think about it and being like, you know what? I do not like Mr. Mans anymore, and he needs to not be my friend anymore. It's not necessarily like a conscious thought. It's kind of like a fizzle out moment, which is another way that friendships can end, and very common. Especially when, you're graduating college, people are starting new jobs, yada, yada, yada. So if things fizzle out, let them fizzle out. It's totally fine. You could always reconnect with those people, later. I love friendships where you can like not talk to the person for like 6 months, 7 months. And then when you text each other, reconnect, it's like nothing ever changed. That could happen to you, which is great because, ooh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Ooh, okay. Anywho's, wow, I need to drink some water. Okay, anyways. So friendships, yeah, very much good. Yeah, okay, whatever. So what was I saying? Yeah, friendships can fizzle out. You don't necessarily have to send like a text, like a goodbye text or something to someone. Like it never has to be that deep. It can be as deep as you want it to be, depending on how close of a friendship that you guys had. But if you want to do one last hurrah, one last brunch date, one last dinner date, or whatever, do that, because, that's your prerogative. However you feel like you want to end a friendship, if that's at the stage that you're at, then do that. If you feel like you're in a space where you like want to talk to people, and like have conversations about your relationships, I think it's super important for you to think about and like have a conversation about what your friendship will look like when you move to a new city and you want to maintain like a long distance friendship, because this is a point in your life where your lives, yes, they look the same, and like you might be going through the same things, like you're both moving, starting a new job or whatever, but there are also differences, right? So like your friend could be in a long-term relationship and you are a single Pringle doing the dang thing on the apps, blah, blah, blah. Or like your friend might be expecting a baby. Hello? Ooh, couldn't be me. But there are nuances. Everyone's path, everyone's journey is different, and based off of what you and your friend are going through at the time, your friendship could look a little differently than what it looked like when you were like in college or high school. So I think having a kumbaya come to Jesus moment might be good for your relationship, because you don't want to go into it thinking that you're going to get the same thing from your friend when your lives look totally different. All relationships in our lives will grow and change as we grow and change and evolve as individuals, which can be for better or for worse. It really just comes down to the intentionality between you and your friend, significant other. All relationships are a two-way street. So if your side of the road is, clean, paved, you're putting in the work to lay down those bricks day in and day out, and then your friend's side of the street has potholes in it, there are cracks in the road, that's a no, babes. We cannot have a clean side of the road and a dystopian on the other side. We gotta be self-aware and realize that if you are putting in more work than the other person, then it's time to have a conversation or have a little peace out moment, because you can't be putting in more than you're getting at the end of the day. Okay. On the note of like growing, evolving, and seeing your relationships grow with you as you get older, wanted to touch on the small town mentality and how that can apply to your relationships, because when you grow up in a small town, that's all that you really know is like the people and the culture of that small town. I grew up in like a relatively medium-ish town. I don't know. Like, I grew up in a suburb, right? But at the same time, it is like a smaller-ish town in Texas. I don't know. Either way, what I'm trying to say is the small town mentality, sometimes, babes, it could be an infection, yeah? Some people, let me not say an infection, because for me personally, I had to leave where I grew up because there's a whole world out there. You know what I mean? There's people to meet, places to see, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to live everywhere that I can and do as much as I can in this world, because for me personally, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? But people from my town, they, want to stay there. They grew up there. All their family and friends are there, which is, totally fine. To each their own. That is your prerogative, right? And at this point in time, you may be from a small town and you still have friends from said small town through high school, middle school, elementary school, whatever. And you still keep in touch. Great. We love that. Or this could apply to college as well, but you might be at a point in your life when you want to go see the big city, you know what I mean? And people might be judging you, like, why are you trying to go out there? Those people are different. That's not who you are. You think you're better than me, blah, blah, blah. And they can start to attack you, the way you think, your character, and things like that. And that can be like a crazy thing. Like, I personally haven't experienced that too crazily. But I know that for some people, if they want to move to a bigger city than where they're from, they can start to experience that. And people that they thought were super close to them and people that they thought, knew them to their core can start coming at you and saying that, you think you're better than me, blah, blah, blah. That is a point where you have to realize that, one, these people probably, didn't know you or didn't care about you as much as you thought they did. And they probably serve an older version of you and not this newer version of you. And that can be hard to let go of because, humans are comfortable. Once you're comfortable, it's hard to like disrupt that with change. And change is hard for everybody. And it's hard to leave what you know and people But at the end of the day, if those people are attacking you for wanting to do what's best for you, then they don't care about you, babes. Or they're probably just dealing with, their own internal battles. Maybe they're even jealous of you having the courage to even, move out of said hometown, and they wish they were you. That's something that they got to deal with. That's truly, truly none of your business, babes. Okay. At the end of the day, it's more of a reflection on them than it is on you. So if you're dealing with that right now, I see you. I know that can be difficult, but at the same time, you can only do so much. You can only have so many conversations with these people before they, come to terms with it themselves or realize it themselves. For those situations, I feel like you kind of just have to take a step back and let those people sort through their own feelings while you, go off and do your own thing. And I think maybe at some point in the future, you guys will reconnect, have a conversation about it. But those people, like I said, serve an older version of you and not this newer version of you, which is fine. Take the time to, mourn and grieve those relationships, because they were probably, great for what they were at the time. And that what is happening now doesn't take away from the great memories that you may have. But we got to let go, babes. We got to let them go. Let it go. Let it go. Yeah, just friendly reminder, don't feel bad for moving on, especially, if you're dealing with that whole small town thing. That's, if that's not your vibe, if you don't want to stay in your little small town and people are making you feel guilty for it, do not let them, okay? Do not let them, because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. I'm going to get fired up, but you don't want to look back on your life and regret not doing something. You know what I mean? I think I've said this in probably one of the previous episodes, but I'd rather look back on something that I did and be like, dang, I shouldn't have done that, than thinking about, oh, what if I did that? Because the possibilities are endless, babes. They're endless. In the same vein, I feel like I might be talking out of two sides of my mouth here, but you may be at a point where you realize that maybe like a friendship no longer serves you, or you don't really like who this person is anymore, whatever. And it's easy for, I feel like, especially in like, I guess Gen Z today, is very much like it was the other person. The other person is the problem. You got out of this. You're so great for getting out of this relationship, blah, 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 which is like, yeah, fair. That is the scenario. That is the true case in a lot of, scenarios. But at the same time, you got to be self-aware and think about your role in how a friendship has ended as well, because it's, like I said, a friendship is a two-sided street, and there's always three sides to every story. There's your side, their side, and then the truth. Okay? The truth. But when you're in this season of thinking about your relationships, think about your role in how a friendship may have ended, or like, a problem that may have arisen or whatever. I think it's important to be self-aware and possibly not put all of the blame on another person, and think about how you may have contributed to maybe a friendship fizzling out or ending how you may not have wanted it to end, or whatever. It's just important for you to take a step back, think about it, and see what you can apply and take with you to future relationships and things or habits that you want to leave behind, because sometimes you are the villain, and that's okay. That is okay. If you're the villain in someone else's story, sometimes you just got to deal with it. But do some inner healing, do some work, do some unpacking, so that you're not the villain in everybody's story. Okay. In conclusion, friendships are super important relationships for you to grow and maintain throughout your 20s, because it's hard out here for 20-something. God bless these 20-somethings, as SZA said. But girl, it's tough out here. I will not lie. But if you're on the brink of your move, or, at the beginning of your move, just went through it, if you feel like you need to do a friendship audit and put people in rankings, hierarchies, then do what you got to do, as ugly as that may sound. You don't have to show people. You don't have to write it all down and show people. You're actually the bottom tier and you need to be up here. You don't have to. It's your eyes only, okay? Some people are besties. Some people are just friends. Some people are acquaintances. Some people are friends, cousins, dogs, neighbors, whatever. You know what I mean? Take a step back and realize that not everyone is on the same playing field, and that can help you figure out who you want to give your energy to as you're going through this transitional period. If you go through like an exercise like this and do a friendship audit, and you at the end of it, you might come to terms and realize that I actually have maybe one or two friends that I actually like and want to keep in my life. And you might start freaking out and be like, oh my God, I only have 1 to 2 friends. I am a loner, blah, blah, blah. Take a deep breath, because I feel like most people are only close with maybe 1 to 2 people in their lives, like super close. So it's fine. You're fine. Not everybody hates you, okay? Just remember to not have a scarcity mindset, because like I said, there are over 7 billion people in this world, and you're about to enter this great new chapter in your life. You haven't met everyone that is going to love you, so keep that in mind. It can be super scary, but isn't that exciting? I'd rather think of it as being excited. There are so many people out there for you to meet, and in future episodes we'll talk about how you can meet said people, but that will wrap up today's episode on outgrowing friendships. Hope this episode was helpful for you. If it was, share with a friend and tell them to subscribe and listen to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hope to get this on Google Podcasts as well in the future, because my familia, a lot of people got Samsungs and they be listening on Google. So Transplants will probably be on Google Podcasts soon. But in conclusion, wherever you listen to your podcasts, please subscribe and follow us on social media at Transplants Podcast for fun content, maybe some behind the scenes, maybe some in-person events in the future. What? I don't know. But anyways, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.